Welcome, friend. We did our cold plunge today and we're experimenting with an experimental style. Well, basically I was like, going home, I was like, you know what, I can go home and create a stream, right? I can do my regular sort of routine, philosophize, do some songwriting. We will do that. But I just looked at this giant open field. I was like, you know what if I really just create an open energy where I'm just gonna be focusing on being in the outdoors, but without my guitar, doing some running, basically doing my training protocol on this live stream in this open field, as I would, because I really desired to just connect with my body and capture this moment. Make the live stream not the sedimentary experience, but a very active experience. What's good? Exactly, brother. And I invite other people to do this as well. Experimental as fuck. Yeah, here we are. These are my favorite mountains. We're blessed that we have a giant open field. This entire field is ours. Literally just can. Basically, that's what I do in my sort of content dimensions. But I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just to do this on the live stream. I want to be a dental floss tycoon. Sure, brother. Welcome 2026. Be a dental floss tycoon. Be a super dope one. Be a multi-dimensional entrepreneurial / whatever you want to be. Very nice. Mental floss fly coon. Very nice. Working out with you. Nice. That's what's up, brother. We surely will be doing the usual music stream, but for now, we'll definitely begin this stream in a very experimental way. Whew. Backflips for the algorithm. Oh. You know, I found myself yesterday train at like 9 o'clock at night. It was very chill, but I really was like processing a lot. So I did a very extensive qigong practice, which is what I love to do when I'm at the gym. Straight Outta Compton. That's a great movie. You know, as per the title of the video, or the stream, is honoring your body, listening to your body, activating energy in your body. You know, if you're new to this stream, or this portal, this channel, naturally it's about music, but also a lot of what I do in my life is rooting myself in my body. I actually feel for performance art, if you're a performance artist, right? You know, whether you're like, I do like fire acrobatic performance, right? But I also do music performance. I really feel that the best way to channel energy, to direct energy in a performance. So, you know, you're playing a guitar or whatever, or you're, you know, doing some sort of like dance, acrobatic, fire prop performance. It's always, in my experience, to activate energy in your body, invariably. You know, think about it in the simplest, right, is when you activate energy in your body, you are directing your focus into your body, your vessel, outside of your mind, outside the intellectual mind. Nice. I saw in your channel description you like Alan Watts. Yeah, yes, brother. Nice. Thank you, Jamid. Thank you for projecting your own narrative. And right back at you, brother Jamid. Clearly, Jamid is not the kind of guy who should be around a park. Whatever, you know, very horrific narrative that Jamid is painting. We get it, Jamid. You're insecure. You don't trust yourself. You don't feel safe around a park. I hope you heal, brother. I'm sad to hear that you feel so insecure and you feel the desire to project negative narratives about your own safety. That sucks, brother. But yeah, we were in a park doing some training. And thank you, Keno. Yeah, he follows his own advice. Interesting. Absolutely, I think, in truth, you know, if we really break down why Alan Watts maybe chose the path he chose, I mean, surely, you know, Alan Watts, he was risen from a Christian background. And I think he also, you know, he smoked a lot of tobacco. He was a very jestful, sort of like, I don't even know how to describe it. He seemed like Alan Watts was very of the world. Like in his core being, he lived in the 3D very actively. But he also loved to explore, you know, the metaphysical dimensions, you know, the esoteric dimensions. Like he was a student of trying to unpackage those with the mind. Again, I don't know Alan Watts, obviously, in the depth of it. It almost seems like Alan Watts, the way a lot of his playful, you know, sort of narratives are unraveled, that yeah, he was a guy that was at peace with being rooted in 3D. And maybe it's just, you know, the simplest, right? The guy would always have philosophical lectures where he's smoking a tobacco pipe. Like always, he was probably very heavily addicted to tobacco, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. Not a smart move, I think. Anyone that's excessively smoking tobacco and, you know, using that as a means to enter verbal dimensions, that's obviously problematic. That's a person that maybe doesn't understand how to honor the body and honor the mind. But no matter what, I think, strangely enough, most of the geniuses, like the psychonauts, are great philosophers. Not all of them, but most of them did seem to have a very sort of dualistic realm of them, where it's like, you know, think of Terence McKenna. Terence McKenna was a genius. Innovative genius, intellectualized genius, philosophically. He's very brilliant. But, you know, what extreme extents to take? You know, all of us should not do what Terence McKenna did, inevitably. I love Terence McKenna. I love his perspective. I love his work. But for a man to go that deep into psychedelics, you know, so actively, to enter DMT realms, I mean, for him, it was naturally like an experiment. He really wanted to understand. He self-medicated with a lot of booze, too. That's unfortunate. I love Alan. Well, I hope, yeah. That's unfortunate. I mean, it doesn't go, it's pretty clear that alcohol is extraordinarily problematic. Yeah. I don't think he was a big drinker. Yeah. Well, I think the guy was saying he self-medicated with booze. So that doesn't mean he does it. I mean, you're saying he does it a lot. That's subjective. I mean, I'm sure he used booze. Maybe like in that time, in that generation, you know, the last generation, like the last 100 years, alcohol was a very different normalized thing, as was tobacco. Like, think about this now, is like the amount of research and awareness we have with tobacco and alcohol versus when Alan Watts was, you know, being born and raised, profoundly different. You know, in our modern generation, I mean, that doesn't stop a lot of people, but the amount of breakthroughs with, you know, our almost like our neurological studying and our health, basically, our understanding health is way different from when it was when, say, Alan Watts was, you know, being raised. But I don't know. You know, there's many people that choose differently. Welcome, Emma. I'm pretty good. I'm doing something very experimental today. Let's do another backflip for the algorithm. Wow. That was a little bit too much attack on that, but yeah, but I'm basically decided, I was like, you know what? I could go home and do my stream as I regularly would, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take time to just do some training, some freeform training out here in Westwood. You know, we're here in the forest, well, up in this valley. And at some point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually just go through the forest, but I'll do something unorthodox where I'm gonna be basically doing some sprinting. Because when I go for runs, this is often when I philosophize. Because I just did my cold plunge about 20 minutes ago. But I'm gonna go for a run. And basically, a lot of the philosophizing that I do, or the psychoanalysis, I do when I'm running. When I'm running through the forest, I run, I take a breather, and then I go, because it's like moving energy. Like, this is actually a thing that a lot of philosophers believe is the way to move energy, to move the mind and explore philosophical realms, you know, especially if you're on psychedelics, is just move. It's just go. You know, to walk, very simply. It's to walk. It's to just unapologetically move energy by moving your body to a different place. And if you do it rapidly, of course, it has a very powerful effect. Yeah. So I think shortly we're gonna go for a run through the forest and continue this. Move energy, see how it flows. But definitely gonna do some training here to kind of just hold space for doing some training here. I mean, I did a very lengthy strength training session yesterday, so I probably don't have a ton of energy to go nuts, but peace, brother. May the force be with you too. May the force be with you too. I'm gonna give you guys this view here. Just place that there for a part of this spot. I heard I have to learn. I'm here to learn. Nice. Welcome, kid. Welcome, kid. I'm interested in looking more into that canal. Never heard of that before. Interesting. Danny was calling Coconut Head. I don't think so, brother. I've never heard of this Danny fellow or someone calling me Coconut Head, but yeah. Colton, I might be wrong, but I heard he ended up fairly secluded drinking a lot. He was massively ahead of his time, thinking about some wild stuff. Yeah. Honestly, in all like sort of subjective thought, I don't think, like, yes, Alan Watts probably was of the generation where he'd, you know, engage in alcohol here or there, but to be perfectly honest, if you're familiar with what alcohol does, and basically being sober, what being sober does, like when you enter a sober state, I don't really feel that you can achieve the perspectives and basically the level of intellectualization and almost like metaphysical connection that Alan Watts was desiring to seek with excessive alcohol consumption. Like, I'm almost saying that based on Alan Watts's perspective and his way to penetrate, surely there's exceptions, but I would say that if Alan Watts did drink, it was probably not to an extent that, you know, you might think. Based on, again, I'm just guessing, based on how he seemed to be able to speak, to intellectualize. But I don't know, it's a different generation. Yeah. Yeah, Terrence McKenna. Alan Watts is, honestly, he's not, the thing with Alan Watts is not just about the perspectives he was in packaging. Yes, Alan Watts, I think what was special about him is Alan invariably came from a Christian background. He was a preacher. He was a Christian priest or a preacher. I'm not sure if he was a full-on priest. He basically was raised Catholic. Like that's what Alan Watts' background was. And he's a perfect example of someone that explored that ideology, but then found that it was limiting, like very, very limiting from his personal perspective of many years of studying, these Christian Catholic ideologies. And then he decided to step outside of that to make sense of the larger dimension of philosophy, metaphysical philosophy, while still, having that integral sort of moral rooting that's societally rooted. So he basically became a student of like moral and esoteric and metaphysical philosophy, and had a distinct awareness of the limitations of not just, say, his Christian Catholic background, but of religious ideology. He basically had a direct, very like balanced perspective. So he wasn't coming at it from a place of ignorance of being like, but this, that. He knew from a shadow about from his personal perspective, the holes, the flaws. But I'm sure he also saw, the deeper philosophical rooting of what these ideologies were. So he could help a lot of people. He knew how to like really address things like death and life and fear and all the larger unravelments that were happening in his lifetime. And again, I think because Alan Watts also, he was a very resonant with Eastern philosophy, so Buddhist philosophy. Alan Watts in his later years was packaging a lot of Buddhist philosophy. That's what I read. A lot of his books are like his Age of Anxiety is very Eastern philosophy rooted. His book that's literally about Eastern and Buddhist philosophy. You can see that Alan Watts wasn't just about talking about philosophy. He was more so about embodying it, which is a very Taoist, Buddhist, sort of Zen philosophy type thing, where he was very much intentional with his words, with his presence. Like he wasn't just trying to say words for the sake of saying them, but he really wanted to see what this looked by integrating it. But obviously he was just a human being. Like, I think that if anything, you can sense that Alan definitely lived in the 3D. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, again, I don't know much about Alan Watts' personal life, but he lived in a very unique time. Like, he lived, in a very unique shift. Hey, what's going on, Melissa? Come on the stream. Hey, I'm pretty good. Honestly, it's been an intense 24 hours for me. I've been writing a lot of music. I actually wrote this really intense song yesterday. I don't even know how to describe it. I came home from the gym and I wrote a song, vocal piece that I wrote actually about 3, maybe 4 really strong vocal pieces. But the first vocal piece I really like because basically, strangely enough, I've never written music that's in this exact lane, but it's a splice between Oasis, the Strokes, and Nirvana. Like the vocals is like I'm in drop D doing some like chord, some like basic rhythmic chords, but I basically wrote a vocal piece. I'm not sure if I'll refine it. I'm not sure how I'll release it or master it, but the song basically sounds very similar to Oasis, particularly songs like Supersonic, and sounds kind of like the Strokes, particularly songs like Reptilia, and sounds like some of the Nirvana songs, particularly songs like I wouldn't say sounds like Team Spirit, but a few of those, it's like the similar range. It's the vocal range. It's not about the style per se, but it's the vocal range those artists use. I just randomly was like, you know what if I draw influences from that? And also, I took influence from Mars Volta. I wrote a song yesterday that was literally I was thinking about inertiistic ESP. If you guys are familiar with the Mars Volta, there's a song called Inertiistic ESP. Very intense song. For some reason, that was stuck in my head when I was coming home from the gym. So I wrote a song that was like exploring that range. But yeah, I don't know, that's been real for me as I wrote some vocal songs. I've been kind of struggling to unpackage some stuff relating to like, basically, if I'm being very transparent, it's relating to like understanding relationships, understanding how to openly unpackage unconditional love. And that's kind of what I was, streaming about yesterday, and I wrote a song about it. But in the simplest right, it's all beautiful. I'm new to the stream, but bro, I'm glad you're here. Nice. Welcome, brother. I'm glad you're here to hold business. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, I woke up this morning and I was drinking a bunch of cacao, working on this song I'm talking about, this like Oasis, Strokes, whatever, Nirvana type song. And I came across a podcast on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have ever seen, there's a very I'd say, eccentric channel called, what's it called? White, yeah, what is it? White Underbelly? Yeah, soft white underbelly. It's a very intense documentary series. Honestly, I don't recommend checking out the channel. I mean, if you have a very high tolerance for intense subject matter. But basically, this guy is an interviewer. He interviews people of all different backgrounds. A lot of people that are like drug addicts, junkies, whatever, but also lots of people from like all different types. He's a very intelligent interviewer. But anyways, his recent interview is about a guy that had a near-death experience. Very nice. Thank you, kid. Thank you, the kid. Hey, Cameron, thank you for sharing your truth, brother, but this is not a Christian or religious ideology related channel or anything political, religious ideology, and I extend that into various sort of dimensions of that. This is more of a music, I would say, freeform philosophy, creative dimension channel. It's not, there's no religious or political ideologies is advocated here. Nothing against your personal choice, but find a channel, yeah. Yeah, soft white underbelly. It's incredible. It's genius. I honestly think I love Mark Lyde, his perspective. He seems like a beautiful human being, very altruistic, very intelligent. But again, if I do not recommend going to this channel if you cannot tolerate like really intense graphic matter. It's like it's people. It's people. You know, people that are sometimes drug addicts. There's people that are like prostitutes and all different types. Like all different types. Some of these people, like, they're incredible, phenomenal human beings. Most of them are actually. But it's very intense subject matter. But the idea is his recent interview that he released literally 4 hours ago is about a guy that had a near-death experience. And holy man, I watched this before I did this podcast, I mean, before I did this live stream. And man, this interview, basically this fellow, I don't want to ruin it, but it's, you know, don't want to spoil anything. But the idea is that simply, yeah, put, it's like there's this guy that had a near-death experience when he was in his 20s. He was a bodybuilder. He literally was just purchasing a supplement that I guess was like some sort of like, I don't know, unorthodox, not even a steroid, but some sort of fat muscle enhancer thing. And he purchased it from Thailand. And apparently he consumed this, and immediately it made him projectile vomit to he actually died. He actually immediately died for 3 days. He went to a coma, and him and his friend both did this. His friend went to the hospital, but I guess he went to a restaurant to get some food, and he went to the bathroom, locked the thing, and then he had a near-death experience where he passed away for 3 days. And long story short, the entire interview is him talking about what he saw in his near-death experience. And it's the most phenomenal, mind-blowing thing. Basically, in the simplest way, without like getting into the specifics to ruin it, this guy speaks of how he basically went to the other side, he saw himself experience his own death, like in the physical realm. And he basically experienced metaphysical anomalies. Like he connected with a guide that was like I guess one of his ancestors that told him about the truth of life and answered all these questions about like the universe and himself, and in a very like basically explaining a lot of metaphysical philosophy, like metaphysics. If you read metaphysical philosophy, like the nature of how a lot of like the things beyond our human experience, he's basically saying that he's experienced a lot of this firsthand, and he was never a person to believe in any of these things. And I guess this, for him, allowed him to find religion. It made him, he's found religion, and he connected to this, and he found his wife, and etc. But very beautiful talk, yeah. Always grateful when you wake up, because there's people who never hear the alarm clock again. That's exactly it. That's exactly it, Venom. Is like, that's the thing. When I did my cold plunge, when I was doing my cold plunge, I had that exact kind of conversation where I was like, life is fragile. Like, we are living in this solid reality. We think that life is so definite. We think it's so solid. You know, we've lived our entire lives thinking that life is not this like fragile, very like, very fragile thing. But the reality is, like, when you hear of this fellow talking about this like near-death experience, and you think about like how thin the veil is between life and death, like really how thin it is. Like, you think you're just this being that's living in this solid fixed reality that, you know, that your life could never end at a random time, but it could. Hopefully that it doesn't, obviously, like in the deeper realm of it, I believe in a deeper sort of purpose and realm of how the universe unravels. But it's like life is fragile, the veil between life and reality. But the part of what this guy who was talking about his near-death experience, was that he actually, once he had this near-death experience, he called it the other, or home. It was, home, that his guide told him about home, about where we go in this other realm and home. And he basically was obsessed with going back. Like before he found his wife and found peace and clarity, he was so drawn that he's like, I just need to go back home. He basically wanted to end his life in not an unnatural way. He wanted to find a way to like honor his life, where his life would come to a natural end and he would go back home. And it was like very bizarre, but the reality of it is like, yeah, this life is so fragile. Like we've lived in this perception that we think, but life is so fixed because we lived, I've lived 31 years in this realm where I feel like it's also definite. It's like, I know for a fact that my form is so solid here, but it's not, it's like life is a fragile thing. And it's like, it is important to like honor this experience, and important to honor every dimension of how we are here. Anyways, food for thought. I think this makes sense. This is obvious maybe to some of us, but it's a very interesting interview to wake up to. I was like feeling very good, but I'm like, you know what? I want to watch this interview, and I'm really happy that I did. Yeah. Just dipped into one of your songs. Oh, thank you. Thank you, brother. Dude, yeah, that recent song especially, it didn't get a lot of views because, I don't know, the algorithm didn't really arrange. Maybe it's just like some parts of the title didn't really resonate, but that song I'm really proud of. How the last couple songs I'm very proud of. They sound beautiful. Like I remember I listened to them yesterday when I was like late at night. I'm just like listening back to my songs. I was like, these are so beautiful. Like they feel good. It's like the entirety of what's going on feels really strong. So I'm proud of that. Sprinting a little bit through the forest. Not something I usually do on a stream, but it's like when you move energy, when you're in the state of just moving, and you realize, especially as a streamer, often I'm just slowly, whoa, there's a bird here. Just slowly processing reality, right? I'm just slowly playing guitar, tuning into the viewership and connecting here. Nice. The simulation being played. Wow. I don't know about the AI thing. We are in a simulation, but I don't know about the AI thing. I would not take that to the bank, brother. What's good, Bob? What's good, dog? Wow, that's crazy, Ree. Yeah, you're not alone. That's the thing, is this is what this fellow was really examining, is you are not alone. I've never experienced a near-death experience, but a lot of people do. There's actually some very in-depth research. People write books about this. People talk about this extraordinary phenomena of what a near-death experience offers you. And hopefully, you'll never experience that. Hopefully, it's a very, I'm sure, intense experience. But near-death experiences, like there's a lot of people that experience them, and they're surely very life-changing. Very life-changing. Not a very balanced ground. I think we'll do some calisthenics somewhere else, but washed this morning and I could relate. Yeah, soft white underbelly. Honestly, well, the more I watch this channel, again, some of it very graphic, very triggering even. You hear some of these survivors' stories and these people talking about their stories. Not only is it life-changing for them, it's brave, it's powerful, but Mark, his intention of why he created this channel is beautiful. It's really astounding. I think he has a pure heart, and he understands the value of giving people a platform and giving people perspective on basically what it looks like. Like, he openly exclaims how, there are people that are on the same path to a lot of the people he interviews. People that are in a very dark chapter of their life, going through addictions, through deep chemical addictions, and etc., etc. And yeah, to report that there's some people that actually go through these interviews and they look at their lives and realize how, like, I desire to change. Like, I desire to see through the patterns, and even just seeing other people struggling and realizing they're not alone in these dark dimensions of the human experience. It's powerful. It's just like, it's healing. But yeah, fun stuff. Simulation. This is the exact type of stuff I was starting to say when I moved to Colorado. Brother, yeah, once you see how free-form this reality is, like, without getting too esoteric, but I would love to, you'll come to realize that the anomalies, like the metaphysical anomalies that exist in this world, most people will never see. That's okay. But once you do begin to go down that rabbit hole, you study the relationship between the body and the mind, you see how much power you have in your reality. It's magic. Like, it puts a lot of things in perspective. All right. I think we'll go up here this way, and then we'll begin to run back down. Welcome, moon stars. Interesting idea. 33, be lit. Nice. Yeah, honestly, 30s rule. I turned, 30 a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And I have to say, objectively, still reality. I'm still a 3D, still living in 3D, still a human being. Oh, wow, these birds. These mini birds. Wow. They're just kind of hiding. But yeah, honestly, turning 30 has been bliss. I always, for some reason, I always predicated this. I always felt this, that being 30 years old, at least how I felt, looking at my life objectively, it felt like it was a moment that I was really looking forward to. People would always ask, like, when do you feel is the best age to be? And as a kid, I was asked this all the time. And I would always say 30. Didn't know why. Didn't really think about it. I was like, I think about 30. That'd be a very phenomenal time to be alive, to be a human, to be an adult who knows himself, who knows his journey, who knows his path. And it's strange, the moment that I turned 30, literally within like a month, my life actually did start to rapidly change. The people that were gravitating my life, the choices I was making, became extremely powerfully aligned. Yeah. Thank you, Nicole. I'm not in Abbotsford. I'm in Coquitlam. Spring into spring, and no guitar today. We will have guitar. We will play guitar. I made this executive decision, though. I did my cold plunge. And I kind of told myself, I was like, I can go back home, do my stream as I usually do, read some philosophy, create some music. But I was like, what if I just instead go live right now, just do some training outdoors, do some running, do some qigong in the forest. No guitar, no restraints, no camera equipment, nothing, just go. So then return home, do part of my stream, but I still fulfilled this role. And then basically what I'll probably do is I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day by go to the beach. Like, I'll do a couple hours of this stream, go to the beach, and go with it. Blood flowing. Get that blood flowing, get that body loved and nourished. This is the way. We're doing the best we can with what we got given. Yeah. That's true. Did he see anything after he died? I don't want to ruin the interview invariably, but yes, in the simplest right, he first saw himself. Like, this was the bizarre thing, is he immediately, as he exited this reality, he saw himself. He saw the experience of him dying. He literally saw, like, the actual atrocity of his own body. He didn't even realize at the time. He was very objective to it. He basically, you know, was looking at the world from a bird's eye view. Basically, his consciousness exited his body, and he was watching this world, his world, himself, dead, watching his own death. And what he said was, when he was watching his own death, he could hear the thoughts of the people he saw. Basically, he was an entity that was outside of his body, but he could hear the thoughts of the people, like the paramedics that were helping him, his friend, as he was leaving, the random strangers he was across. He could hear people's thoughts when he was in this, I guess, other realm. And as he explores, he still didn't recognize that that was him, that he was watching, that he was dead. He just saw a person that died. He was like, okay. And then as this story unraveled, he then realized, I am kind of ruining the story, but it's a good story. You can watch it all. It's only like 30, 40 minutes. And there's interviews of this guy everywhere. His name's like Vincent something. I forget his last name. But basically, yeah, he had this moment where he realized that it was him, he was watching. And he had a lot of fear. He saw his entire life flash before his eyes. And then he had someone that he called his guide, that he thought immediately, because he was Christian born, he's like, oh, is this God? And he's like, no, I'm not God. And he's like, is this Jesus? He's like, nope, this is not Jesus. And then he said, he's his guide. He said he is his guide. And apparently this guide was actually his ancestor. It was his aunt had a family member that passed away that was very spiritually, very beautiful human. He never heard him in his life, but that was his guide. He was guiding this man. It's very interesting. But yeah, anyway, we digress. Very interesting story. Highly recommend. It's just a beautiful story. Just a beautiful thing to wake up to. But here we are, present here in the present moment. But yeah, I'm live streaming through the forest, experimenting with basically this is actually the kind of content that I started with the idea of creating. Before I had my YouTube channel, before I was actually a content creator, I was like, what if I'm just creating content of me literally just talking in the forest, you know, wandering, roving, doing handstands, sort of similar to the content that I've been arranging in a sort of directorial fashion. But it's just like, what if I'm just capturing what I do in streaming? But anyways, not quite. Yeah, not quite. If I was 7, the guy in the video, I think he was like 20. Yeah. Sucking my whole life. Yeah. It is a blessing, it sounds like, but you know, the fact of the matter is, near-death experiences appear to be, they're rare, because obviously there's not a lot of people that pass away that actually come back. Like, the probability of actually going through that experience seems very low. Most people just pass on to the other side. Yeah. Reed, did you say the same for babies? No weird question, but I have my reasons. Yeah. I think it's a great question personally. It's a blur of a moment, so maybe not intense with the relationship built in the earth. You know, again, I'd say the core takeaway. Yeah, honestly, what I would say, definitely to Moon and to anyone that's curious about soft white and underbelly, do not watch this channel if you're sensitive to graphic topics. Even myself, I have a pretty strong awareness and rooting, and you know, and how to deal and integrate with traumatic, sort of triggering subject matter. But even that, I watch some of these interviews, I'm like, this is, like, I can't unhear this. So I don't recommend watching it, but it's interesting to know that that channel exists, and I commend Mark. Like, he's doing great. He's doing great work. But long story short, great interview. Honestly, you can probably watch this Vincent guy off of this soft white underbelly channel. He does many other interviews. So I imagine it's a lot more comprehensive in the other sort of channels. But yeah, I digress. I think the simplest takeaway that I was trying to convey is, I found that exploring that sort of thought stream, like hearing this interview, just made me happy to know that yes, this life is fragile. Yes, not only is it fragile, but there's something beautiful on the other side. And yes, even further, for those that are curious, is that a bird or a squirrel? Oh, it sounds like a bird. But yeah, for those of you that are on the path to unpackage metaphysical anomalies, understand the quantum, understand metaphysics, it is very directly in alignment with what a lot of people report from these near-death experiences. Like, it's almost identical, where it's like they're basically confirming a lot of things in their direct experience. And not to say that the answer is ever to be experience a near-death experience, not to say that any of us will even unpackage these things in our entire lives, but there's something more beautiful that confirms a lot of the things that the mind can't understand. And a lot of people experience these things and, write books about these things. I think that's beautiful. I think that's very beautiful. This part right here, you can kind of see, this is like the most difficult part of trailblazing around here. I swear, when you don't have barefoot shoes and you try to like sprint down these trails, very easy to like bust your ankles. Like, I've noticed invariably, these trails right here, when COVID was popping off, I would sprint down these trails and up them every single day for about 6 months. And wow, I realized that I had weak ankles. Like, that's what I realized from sprinting this every day. But that's also what inspired me to get stronger ankles, because ankles are important. It's very funny. I actually thought about this a lot yesterday. Wrists are very important, like wrist strength. It's a very strange thing. You may or may not hear. Most of us have an awareness that ankles are very important. You bust an ankle, you sprain an ankle, you quickly realize how important ankles are for your entire body. But something that came to me yesterday was wrist strength. If you really think about it, wrist strength is like an extremely complex but multi-dimensional thing. Basically, for me, I was like doing complex triads, like weird bar chords, where I was playing out some like music. I was writing a bunch of music after I did a bunch of handstand training and blah, blah, blah. And I got to this place where I was like, I can only do these exact practices because of a developed wrist strength. And even doing them, I had to actually be conscious of my wrists. I was like, wow, I'm putting a lot of strain on my wrists, or I gotta like really focus on learning to honor them and strengthen them. But the reality is, what I'm simply saying is, I don't think a lot of people realize that if you just focus on training your wrists, like you really see how you can optimize your wrist strength and apply that, it's actually life-changing. It's literally life-changing, the practices that you could awaken. And I'm saying this from a guy that, again, actively engages in a lot of these things, like does weird calisthenic handstand training and a lot of guitar stuff. But on the other side of strong wrists, and this is the thing too, is wrists are not inherently strong. Like, this is a key thing to understand. Is a friend of mine, he reached out when I was talking about wrist strength, and he was like, oh, my wrists are really weak just by nature, or just the way they're genetically done. And I was like, wrists are not naturally strong. At least in my experience, you have to train your wrists. Like, wrists need to develop strength. They're not, even before I did handstands, my wrists were very weak. I had to slowly, that's actually the cardinal practice of what allows you to unlock handstands and handstand push-ups, is you're literally just going and doing handstands against the wall to develop wrist strength. That's it. Like, you literally are sitting there and slowly, day by day, month by month, you're doing handstands against the wall, and maybe handstand push-ups or whatever you want to progress into, literally just to develop wrist strength. Like, surely you gotta have arm strength and shoulder strength, but the wrists are the most key component and also the most difficult to train at first when you're training handstands. But if you do it, you literally just, integrate, wow, so many birds, just good wrist strength. It's a game changer. Anyways, yeah, very nice. Yeah, I don't know what to say. You say some interesting things, Ree. I mean, some of them I can't say I fully get the intention or the context of why, or of what you're saying, or the self-awareness behind it, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful nonetheless. I really enjoy your perspective, miss. I love this forest. Look at this. This is one of the old growth, probably the only true old growth trees around here. Old growth tree. These are all British Columbia forests look like this. That's the funny thing is, British Columbia is like, well known for their greenery. Whoa. But yeah, they all just look like this. They almost look like, kind of like something out of a dinosaur movie. There's like ferns everywhere, and there's like moss kind of just like scaling over stuff. It's like a dinosaur forest. Maybe after the dinosaurs died off or something and it got more developed. It's great. Yeah. It's funny, I've spoken this very openly, where we're gonna continue to do some qigong here, but the idea is that this little nature hike is so fun and idealistic. Sadly, look like the PNW, meaning it's early afternoon Wednesday. That's its taxpayer funded activity. Interesting. What does that even mean? It's early afternoon on Wednesday. That's just a taxpayer funded activity. What an interesting perspective. I don't know what to tell you. Interesting. It is early afternoon. You're right. It's 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock on a Wednesday. Very keen observation skills. But as an entrepreneur, as a guy that works in film, I set my own hours. I have for years. And as a YouTuber, I don't make money yet, but I'm about to get monetized. But yeah, I don't think there's a sad piece of this. I mean, if you're saying that this saddens you, that you don't have the freedom to, rove a forest at 2 o'clock, that's fair, brother. I mean, but you can take that same level of sadness and direct that to, students or people that are in their early 20s who are lost and in life and just doing whatever they want to do. It's all about perspective. But anyways, what I wanted to express is Qigong and Tai Chi. I speak about that a lot on this channel. Is the cardinal practice in Qigong and Tai Chi really is this. See, what I'm doing is it's the ability to very gently move in a very fluid, even better than that actually, with the full body, it makes more sense. But the idea is if you can do that, you can literally just move your joints in a very slow and controlled way, in a fluid way, in the simplest motion. That's the entire practice of Tai Chi and Qigong. But obviously it's about doing this. Qigong is more about just doing this with your arms, your hands, and maybe your arms, different alignment of that. But Tai Chi is using the entire body. What I'm basically trying to say is, if you learn how to fluidly gently integrate your movements. Now there's different forms, there's various practices, but it's funny because when you think about this, if you were to just try to be like, you know what, can you do this? in a soft, controlled way. Like, how controlled can you... Even there, I kind of failed to do it because I'm on an awkward position. But the idea is, you can very softly, very gently, in a very controlled way, intentionally move your joints. Like, allow yourself to fluidly move your body, and even more ideally in a sub-perpetually slow way. There's many different forms, there's many different types of Tai Chi and Qigong, but that is actually the cardinal practice. And it's interesting because I see there's a lot of people, I'll come across people that are doing some Tai Chi Qigong. If they're doing basically the entirety of it, like what I'm doing with the forms and all that, they're usually developed practitioners. They study. I met this really interesting woman. She was from somewhere in China. She barely spoke English, but I ran into her on a beach, and she was doing Tai Chi. Very beautiful form. I basically was like really appreciating her form and walked up to her and just complimented her on that. And then she was excited that I even knew what Qigong and Tai Chi was. So we did some Tai Chi together, and she recorded us doing Tai Chi together for some like social media in China or something. But the idea is that I've come to notice that a lot of people that try to, practice things similar to Qigong or Tai Chi, they don't necessarily seem to have the cardinal practice, which is literally just fluidity. Maybe they're just focusing different constructs of it, but it's almost like if you can integrate the ability to fluidly and very steadily move your body, you're already so much on the way there. You've taken it very far already. Do I live off the grid? I do not. I live on the grid currently. I would love to live off the grid in the future, but no, I live very close to a forest, but I live in a gated community. Yeah, no, again, in the forest, in the future, yes, I would love to actually purchase like a off-the-grid micro home for my own vegetables and fruits and whatever. That's actually part of what I'm going to do is, in the future, invest in an off-the-grid home, but also have a regular home. But yeah, for now, this is like, no, I live in a gated community. Consciousness comes in different forms of dualism, depending on your ancestry. You feel the past. Very nice. Good for you being 2 p.m. on a Wednesday out there. Yeah, it's again, I haven't worked a regular 9 to 5 in like years. Like, I've worked in the film industry where sometimes I'll work, 4 or 5 days a week. Some days 5-hour days, some days 10 hours, sometimes 12-hour days. But the last 8 months, I've been devoted to being a full-time YouTuber. And this comes with a lot of study, with a lot of awareness, with a very true effort and a deep penetrating vision. Because, I'm on the path where I know for a fact I am going to succeed as a full-time YouTuber. It's an invariable fact. Now, whether it's going to happen within a month, where I'll receive full-time income, or 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, who really knows? It's all about my intention, my vision. But, yeah, that's my job. Like, if by definition I still receive film gigs, I do commercial work, I have an agent, but majority of the time, all my intention and energy goes into my YouTube. Like, I am 1000% in. And it's not about just time, right? It's not just about like, because I'm dedicating myself full time. The idea is I'm dedicating myself full time because I understand the process. It's basically like being a content creator is the same as being an entrepreneur. It takes a burst of momentum, an incredible amount of intention and value that you will not receive a cent for your time and energy until a certain point. And I'm very aware of that. I've been doing this content creation thing 8.5 months. Just recently got my first tip. It wasn't even like a payment. I'll get monetized in about 2 weeks, maybe less. But the reality is, I see the long-term vision. I understand it. I understand how to pull those threads. So the fact that I'm free here on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, or whatever, on a Wednesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's not a Wednesday. That's a product of my choices. It is a Tuesday. Yeah, I was kind of confused there, but I was buying into that narrative. 3 minutes and went to a cardiac arrest. Well, I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you're still here, Ree. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's powerful that you are still here. You were meant to be here, clearly. All right, I think we're gonna finish this with a little more qigong, one more bout of some training, and then we'll head back inside and do the regular guitar sound journey streaming thing. There we go. Whew. Man, I don't sprint enough. I surely don't sprint enough. Complete guess. Yankees or Athletics? What are those? Are baseball teams, right? I mean, man, Yankees or I don't know anything about baseball. While watching it, I play baseball or used to. I'm gonna say Yankees because I like the culture. I like the community of what people from, I think, the New York Yankees, but I don't know. I know nothing, brother, about baseball or how baseball teams are going. I don't watch sports, but we're gonna say Yankees, yeah. The Eurocentrics, which I hope you're aware of, by the way, have you ever had difficulty with finding community or hangout buddies or relationships? Nice. Yeah, I did to MOIQ4T. Yes, but it comes in waves. Like, this is the bizarre thing is, yes, I've had years, especially around COVID, especially years before COVID, after COVID. I actually spoke with this recently with my partner. I've had to process profound feelings of alienation, like true alienation, to a point where I was just like, becoming a performance artist, devoting myself to artistry and songwriting and pulling those threads. And for many years, I felt extremely alienated. But this is the thing. For the key part of my life, I'm a massive part of many different communities. Like, that's the thing is, I'm not just a musician. I am also an athlete. I'm a martial artist, but I'm also an acrobat. I'm a dancer. Massive part of the dance community, the rave community, the parkour community. And in truth, yes, there were bouts where I felt really alienated. I felt like, as an artist, as a human being, philosophically, authentically, I was like very disheartened, where I was like, man, I don't feel there's many people that are like myself. Like, that's just fact. It was like, there's not many people that are on the same mission, that are, arduously diving into life and training martial forms for like hours a day. Like, it was like, there was a core level of like disconnect that was embedded when I was much younger. But the reality is, for me, in the simplest answer, I found powerful kindred alignment and community within the performance community. That is the flow art, acrobatics, circus, and fire community, and the dance community as a whole. It's like, this is not a thing I capture. If you're new to this stream, welcome. But I'm a very avid dancer. I'm a tutter. I'm a huge member of the dance and acrobatic and fire performance community. Like, that's been my life a lot for the last like 3-4 years. The last 2.5 years, I've decided to be a professional performance artist, which I've been training to be a performance artist for many years. Like, not even with the desire to do it professionally, but the last couple of years, I decided to actually start professionally doing festival performances and fire performances. And I've been doing that. That's how I injured myself this is kind of part of the core story, is my YouTube channel became birthed, and the momentum first popped off because I injured my clavicle. I was in festival season. I did a few festival performances, knocked them out of the park. I was feeling on top of the world. I was like, in a beautiful relationship, as I am now, but I was in a different relationship. And, I was thriving. Life was like dope. I was feeling empowered in my body. And then I injured myself training a J-step into backflip. Out of like, it's a trick that I trained for about 9 months. Every single day, I was like fluently rocking. It's the trick that I just did. Like, I can do this without even thinking. It's like I just go, whop. And it's an easy trick. Like, it's not, may have gone off screen, but J-step into backflip. Very easy trick, very hard to fail once you've trained it. Like like the momentum is there. It's very difficult to fail that trick. It was a mixture of me being overconfident, but the ground was unstable and I had a weird sort of insecure footing. And anyways, I injured my clavicle. I was disabled for like 8 weeks, not 8 months, 8 weeks. I was like, I could barely move my arm. I couldn't barely walk without being in pain. I couldn't train a single thing, couldn't run, couldn't do shit, except for play guitar and build my YouTube. So when I injured myself, and this was like, roughly 9 months ago, right before I started my YouTube, I was fully injured. So I had no choice but to fully surrender to the universe and direct all my energy into building my YouTube channel. And in those 8 weeks, it took me about 9 weeks to heal this injury. I went from 0 to about, I think I was at 200 or 100. And then I basically built the momentum of how this channel has been built. My channel basically, it took me like 2 months to get from like 0 to like 50. Like 50 subscribers took me the longest. And then from 50 to about 150, that took me another like half a month. And then I hit this point where in about 6 weeks, I went from like 200 and something to about 850. All through live streams. Like my live streams, it blew up and I got more engagements. I was grinding live streams every day for like weeks and weeks. And then I went from like 250 to about 850. And then from there on, now I'm 8.5 months in, streaming for about 6.5 months, maybe just over that. And I'm now where I'm at. And it's magic, because this would have not happened. Like, without a shadow of doubt, there was 0% chance when I'm juggling my training, doing festivals, juggling this athletic pursuit, juggling this pursuit, this, that, my direction is often, or my intention is often divided into many different things, because that's just the way I live. And there was a 0% chance that I would have been able to create this burst of momentum. It would have happened. I would have created this YouTube at some point, and I would have gotten some dimension of success. But the idea is that this momentum of me injuring myself is immediately what translated. The universe needed me to injure this part of myself. It needed me to direct my energy away from training as a performance artist. And again, the whole point of the story was the performance art community is what really allowed me to connect to my body. It empowered me. I found community. I've met all the romantic partners I've had through dance portals in the real world. Like, it's like, I feel infinitely grateful to the dance community and the performance community. It's like, I'm a musician. I've been a devoted musician since I was like 9 years old. And really, it's taken me all these years to truly see what community actually is and feels like, and to be received by kindred individuals. So yeah, I'll never find in concentrates musicians that are devoted like me, athletes that are devoted like, they're rare. I'm sure they exist. I know they exist. One of the core people that I looked up to for some reason as a kid, I mean, he's a decent human being, I don't know him truly, is Jared Leto. As a kid, musically, Jared Leto very inspired me. He was an actor, musician, director, XYZ. Jared Leto, he inspired me a lot when I was young. That reminded me of what I wanted to be. It was like, I knew that I wanted to succeed at various different parallels all at once. And most people don't do that. I felt like very isolated and alienated. I was like, I don't see many like devoted musicians and athletes and actors and dancers. They don't exist from what I've seen. But the reality is also, it doesn't matter. It's not like to connect with someone romantically or to connect with someone, just as a friendship or platonic or community sense. You don't need to, treat someone as like, okay, well, they have to be exactly like me or they have to match, your own sort of ambitions. Is that it couldn't be any further from the truth. It's like, you don't have to treat your own accomplishments like there's some sort of validative badge of honor, right? It's like we don't accomplish what we accomplish in this world. We should not, to appease and validate the ego. That's an illusion. The reason why we accomplish what we accomplish is to ultimately unify ourselves, to empower ourselves and connect with other human beings. Like, you realize that, right? As a lot of us, when we're new as artists, we validate our ego and we think that, oh, I do all these artistic pursuits because, I don't know, I want to be better than the next person, or you want to be competitive in a sense. The reality is that's an illusion. Once you pursue the artistic path for like 10 plus years, you realize that the validative pursuit of the ego is an illusion. The true reason why we as artists desire to get better, to connect, is to unify and inspire and empower other people. Like, that's the deepest truth. And once you realize that, then you realize that everybody is kindred. Everyone is a part of your community. Everyone has the ability and capacity to go on that mission or serve that mission. Oh, look, it's the neighbor cat. It's the neighbor cat. It's a good cat. It's a good soul. This is my neighbor's cat, Sophie. Such a gentle, but very picky, kind of stubborn cat, but very, very beautiful. She's blue eyes, white, fluffy fur. Such a good cat. Wow. And she's very ambitious. Like, she loves to, she's like, so fluffy. Oh. She's been very loving lately. I think she's just been happier. But it's funny, she's like one of the most ambitious, bold cats I've ever met. Like, she's very ambitious. Yes, good cats. Like, she's one of the few cats I've ever seen that just like has zero fear. Like, she'll go deep into forest, she'll go wherever. She's very bold, very tenacious. Yes, big brain. Very bold cat, very brave. Oh, yep, she wants to stay in the shade. Oh. Yep, this is where we are now. Just hanging out. She's just like one of those pillows. Just like one of those pillows. Oh, now she goes. Probably gonna go find something to hunt or something. Yeah. Very primal cat. Like, cats themselves, they're very primal. Naturally, they're very like ancient little gurus. There's all this fur on my phone. The idea is that, that cat, you can see, like, the more intelligent a cat is, the more they're like, they're rooted within their being. Like, they're very intelligent and very animalistic. They're gonna be like, here we are, but now we're off. We're gonna go chase a bird or sniff a flower. And they're just on a mission. They're on like an animal sort of primal journey, which is magic. All right, I think we're gonna gear up to do our final sprint back home. This is the fun of this streaming style. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably go to the beach at some point and do the same sort of style of streaming, where with my guitar and stuff, because it's interesting to be mobile. Because in streaming, it's like, there's something to having like a very visual, very chill experience. But then there's something also about being able to just run around and, just go where you are. Like, it's like in the real world. In the real world, you can go for a run. You can sprint down the street. Whoa. Got cars going the opposite side. At least that's what I like to do in the real world. I like to just sprint and do handstands. Be active. Be active humans. And that's the bizarre thing. I think about this a lot, and I talk about this a lot when I'm kind of like underlining athletic pursuits. Being an athlete isn't about just like disciplining yourself to, go to the gym X amount of time and, get cardio and blah, 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 and make healthy decisions. It's all that. Of course it is all that. That's the key foundation. But being an athlete, in truth, is actually more so about having freedom. It's about having good cardio so you can, run whenever you want to run. You can train whenever you want to train. Like, you can trust your body is strong and resilient and is equipped to execute whatever it needs to execute. It's just having a strong, capable body. And it's not saying that you have to have like insane cardio or be some kind of insane super athlete, but there's something magical. Vinny Tolman, that's the guy I was watching. And he still has like 20-30 minutes more of the interview that I haven't seen. But nah, being an athlete is magical because just the simple truth. If you're like want to go to a beach hours away and you're like, I gotta carry my guitar and go run up this giant staircase or run into some foreign forest realm or pathway. If you are a trained athlete, you can do that. You're not going to be able to won't be concerned of like, I'm going to be tired and exhausted and I won't be able to get back. I'm not saying, we all have to learn and figure these things out in our own progression, but it's good to be able to trust that your body is strong. And we got to all learn that at our own pace, but having a strong body has lots of benefits. Whew. Well, that was an exhilarating hour and 12 minutes. See, that's the reality. I mean, we're approaching summer right now, so this is probably like the first time in BC. It's like a wave. What's with the new and exciting? What's new and exciting? Yo, what's good, Tenacity? Brother, lots is happening in my world. Some for the better, some for the objective. I would say not worse, but some stuff is like crazy in my reality. But it's all an internal unraveling. I'm in a process where I'm writing a lot of music that's like very emotionally contextual. It surfaces a lot of things, a lot of emotions in my experience. And I think that's a thing that I constantly, especially as a man in 2026, being present with my emotions, like not trying to run away from them is sometimes it really sucks. I'll be honest. It's like the way my mind justifies and like it perceives vulnerability in my emotions, like in the most raw sense. I'll write music, and this is the more immediate context. I write music and my mind immediately is like, oh no, that's like, we're not going to re-explore that, or we're not going to listen to that, or, fully articulate that just because it involves a raw, transparent emotional experience. Like, that's the simplest thing I'm trying to kind of convey is like, I often look at my music and, if it's music about like esoteric, like powerful, philosophical, galactic, whatever, then my brain's like, oh yeah, that's cool. But if I'm talking about like my emotions or like intense, like graphic, not even graphic, but subject matter that's like intense and intimate to me and my trauma, I often just like don't want to explore that more. I'm like, man, that's like too much to write music about, even though I write it and I love it and it feels good, but it's not something I desire to like, re-explore. And that's why artists like Adam Gontier, musicians or vocalists like Adam Gontier blow my mind and like inspire me like crazy, because that guy is like wearing his pain and his trauma on his sleeve. Like, he's doing what I'm kind of just articulating that I find difficult. Because I write, again, a lot of music. Some of it's like, it's about very intimate subjects relating to my own pain, my own sorrow, my own dread of humanity and this and that. And they're very beautiful songs, but, to explore that subject matter, to sit with that, to unpackage that, to sing it over and over again and perform it, for me, that's very, like, intense. It's not a thing I'm very attracted to. And sometimes it's it's an intelligent choice. It's like, what? I'd rather focus on higher dimensions, higher vibrational experiences. But at the same time, we as energetic beings, to honor our higher vibrational experiences, we also have to honor our lower and our dense emotions. So I think that's something that I struggle with sometimes, is like just honoring my core, core parts of myself, and not looking away, like being, okay, this is beautiful too. You know, my pain, my sorrow, it's beautiful as well. You know, there's a website that pays you for royalty for songwriting. Nice. Yeah, I know there's many of those. I'll be honest. I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, that's kind of cool. I'm sure if someone's like super on board with that, that's great. But that sounds like a nightmare. Like in all honesty, that song's in the phase of where I'm at with how I desire to explore creative freedom and be a YouTuber, and that's kind of part of why I'm a YouTuber. Is I don't desire at all, at least not right now, to fit the weird like model of how a lot of musicians try to succeed. Like, oh yes, go on Fiverr and sell out your ability to write music, or run up a Spotify playlist and market, promote, or do some little live this. And it's just like all those things to me sound like it sounds like hell. Like it sounds like a nightmare to be like, oh yes, let's just try to sell out to artsmanship and try to quantify it to make dollar bills that you can then now achieve. It's like, I don't really want to trade my art for money. I don't. I want to like to create a portal in a community where I'm empowering and helping and inspiring via YouTube. That's a all day yes. But the idea of like trying to like go on a platform and be like, all right, I'm gonna write you a song because I'm an artist and I have that ability, but then I gotta write for them and they're gonna give me this X amount of money and there's a deadline and deadlines and blah blah blah, and it's like, no, that sounds like absolute hell to me. In truth, I think there's an ability to transcend that, but for me that doesn't seem like a good plan. Yeah. This lyrical music, I can't understand ambient tapping or guitar solos being intimidating. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm definitely talking strictly about lyrical stuff. Everything I was saying was connecting to writing like music, like Adam Gontier writes. I write music similar names, like Oasis writes, like Nirvana writes, like stuff that's like you're emotionally pouring out your heart. I do that. I write that music all the time, but I'm saying it's hard for me to justify like performing that, playing that music out over and over and over again, and spending a lot of energy in writing music that's basically about transmuting your trauma and then performing that for money. For me, that's no, I'm not talking about I'm definitely not talking about ambient topping guitar. No, I could write instrumental sound journeys. I write that all day long. Like literally the stuff I improvise on my streams, that for me is medicine. I could do that all day long and I would never be like, oh man, this is like too intimate or too intimidating or transparent, or no. That's the shit I do. That's why I love that. I do that all day long. But I'm saying it's for me, it's about, creating music that's about, again, me. It's about my personal like trauma, my experience, stuff that's really healthy. And honestly, I see it in a simple right. I see it as sacred. I see it as very sacred to me. I'll sing this to maybe my friends or intimate partners or whatever, but like it's like I write a lot of music that's like similar to, again, like 3 Days Grace, Adam Gontier, in the realm where he's singing about pain. He's singing about his pain, his addictions, his sorrow. Like if you look at all of Adam Gontier's music pretty much, it's all very emotionally contextual. It's all very intimate to him. And I think that's incredible. Because to me, that's really difficult to do. To be like, all right, I've done it. I can do it. I've written many really good songs that are in that realm, but it's really difficult to consistently do that. Like to be like, all right, let's sing about like my pain and my sorrow and my trauma and just like sing it on a larger scale. That's just like, wow. And also it's in the simplest way, without saying it's like, it's difficult or challenging. It's also just not resonant with me. I'd rather sing about like ethereal, like poetic dimensions of nature and higher vibrational things. And it's like, but again, it's like there's a part of me that I think needs to honor that first part. And it is what it is. We're all different artists of different types. Yeah. Swimming. Very beautiful. Yeah. Nice. Very beautiful. I appreciate you chiming in, Tenacity. It's good to hear from you, brother. What's good, Billy Elliot? Yeah, this cat though. This cat. What's good, Alex? I'm in British Columbia. Yes, I'm getting all these messages popped up. Oh yeah, messages. Beauty. Trauma is like a storm that must run into the storm and pass and enjoy the sun through the skies. Yeah, you could figure out a way. That's like analyzing anything can be a lyric, but I'll be honest, the way to actually make a successful lyric become a lyric, at least in the genres that I'm talking about, like alternative rock, punk rock, psychedelic, progressive rock, it more so requires awareness of tonality and an emotion behind the words. It's not even about the words themselves. Like you could make any word basically sound like it really resonates with your soul, and that's I think the trickiest part. Those are good words though. I love that, brother. Vic, Vic LC. I think VLC. I don't know if. Let's see what VLC is all about here. Vic Chestnut. I feel like this is like the second or third time I've seen VLC say something unhinged and he gets his message removed. I think VLC might need to, face the facts. He might not be our target audience. And my guy should probably, find a stream that is his target. Yeah. That sucks. I guess Jeff Epi says he has 0 testosterone. That sucks, brother. Let's see that. For goddess, how can you tell? Sleeping is so hard with a hurt shoulder. Powerful. The best lyrics are vague and open to multiple meanings. Vague. Oh, vague. Sure. Yeah, MOIQ. Animal I Become is truly one of the best songs. Like everything about it, the lyrics, the flow of the tonality. Like I mean, Adam Gontier, he's a masterful songwriter without a shadow of a doubt. Like I really love everything he writes. It's very well done. But Animal I Become, yeah, perfect. It's like the bass line, the everything about it. It's a perfect written song, I feel. Let's see, it's 2:30. So at 1 hour 22. Yeah, I'm really just trying to arrange my time. I think we're gonna have a nice short outro at some point, and then what we're gonna do is we're going to go out into the city because I'm gonna go pick up some LSD, and then go to the beach, and then we'll decide. We'll decide if we can extend the stream into there, kind of do some freeform streaming on the beach. I think that's gonna be the move. Because I'm at a point where, yeah, definitely was with that. Best lyrics. Nice. A what? An AI cooking show. I don't know if you meant all cooking show, but AI cooking show is a hard no. Anything AI is just, yeah, nah. Ever thought about getting into Spanish scales or flamenco rhythms at some point? Spanish scales, I think I know what you mean. Yeah, honestly, I'm the last person to be very attracted to, like, formally studying music. Like, I slowly move in towards certain scales and modes. I'm very attracted to certain dimensions of jazz theory. I think, to be perfectly honest, it's almost like this. Like if someone would be like, hey, you should probably learn a scale, or learn this mode, or learn this style of study. Absolutely. Like, I agree fully is like, studying flamenco is a great idea, truthfully. However, I think the way of how I'm going to go about doing that is not going to be in a one-dimensional way. Let's find the right... Yeah, sure, let's go. Yeah, there we go. No, but the truth is, like, so say yes, I agree. I think that's a brilliant idea, like flamenco rhythms and Spanish scales. I think the way that I'm going to approach that, because I love that, I think what I'll do is if I can look into how that fits to my style, then absolutely I think that's a thing I could jump into and really stand behind. Because the way I usually learn, this is kind of weirdly enough the way I always learn, is like, say I'm like playing, you know, the way I play. I'm like, okay, we're gonna focus the E major. Not warmed up yet, but the idea is that, yeah, if I was like, you know what, but we're gonna learn a little bit of jazz chords. We're like, you know what, I like jazz chords. What's a good jazz chord? Okay, we got some, and we're like, okay, well that's a flat chord, but we're just like, you know, we find a couple jazz chords that suit the styles that I'm already playing. It's almost like if flamenco and Spanish scales happen to already accent and complement the direction I'm organically going, like the direction I'm evolving into musically right now. I'm like, oh, that would actually complement what I'm doing. Then I would embrace that. Like, yes, let's integrate that. Let's find some elements that I can integrate. But if for whatever reason my brain is like intuitively, creatively, I'm on a different path where I'm like, okay, for some reason I'm like, no, I don't really feel like doing flamenco jazz. I more so want to, I don't know, develop some sort of like hybrid, like math rock, punk rock style. Like if my brain's just like, okay, but that's what I'm feeling is ripe right now, musically. And it's not even a choice really. It's just like what my brain just like feels is like, no, but what about that? That is probably where my mind's gonna go. It's not like I'm like, no, but let's do some formal jazz theory. It's like my brain will be like, no, 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 no. But what about, you know, silky psychedelic fusion math rock? Or like let's work on some sweet picking in an alternate, you know, like I don't know, an alternate key up in, I don't know, the key of A sharp. Like the way my brain is attracted to theory based concepts is really weird, but it works. Like the strange thing is it works. It's not like I'm thinking like, all right, what's the next pattern? What's the next scale? What's the next dimension of music theory? I'll take little blips and pieces of it, but the truth of the matter is my brain, it's attracted to like basically chaos. It wants like unhinged, untamed chaos that is more outside of the regular boundaries of music. And that's just, I don't know why. That's just how I, like even yesterday, I wrote a bunch of music and the music I was doing, I had zero conscious connection to. I didn't think about it. I was like, okay, we're going to use this chord and then this chord and then this rhythm and then we'll do this vocal piece and this vocal style. It just poured out of me way beyond what I had. I had no conscious reference point to that this was going to happen. And I think for me, that's how it's going to happen. Like I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh damn, like let's do some weird like ancient tribal, you know, drop B or drop C variant, or then I'll be like, oh no, but let's pick up the Ibanez and do some weird punk rock, like again, like math rock, kind of Ichikanito stuff. Like that's how my brain usually pieces together how I choose um, music directions. If I would even try to say I choose it, because a lot of the time I don't really choose it, it just happens. So I would love to draw influence from flamenco. I am very inspired from flamenco and Spanish, but I have no idea when that's going to manifest. I'll look into it and see if it resonates with where my style is going, but it's very weird. Again, even talking about it, I kind of sound a little bit weird, like even trying to explain it, but that's how I typically, and it makes sense. Like it makes a lot of sense if you are familiar with how I tell people to learn guitar. Like how I tell people like, hey, like this is how you should probably pick up a guitar, and how I've learned how to learn guitar is like there's probably not a linear flow of any given way of how I learn music, but I'm also at a very advanced level of music somehow. I've almost like, and this is the way I like to sort of understand it, because this is the way I approach everything creatively. There's a chaos, there's a, how do I say, there's a model of how you can integrate chaos. You know, it's like the intuitive model of how you integrate. Like you're like, oh, there's no order. It's like a chaotic order where you think, okay, order means like you go here, then there, then this, then that, and you do this scale and this pattern. For me, I thrive within like an unorderly chaos where it's like there's an order within the chaos. Like, you know, you may hear that in like a poetic sense, but for me, it really is that way. Like it's pure chaos from the outsider perspective, but there's an order within the chaos of how my brain desires to piece these things together. Nice. I love this. Yes. Nice. Goodbye, brother. Goodbye. Goodbye, 100 smiles. Feel free to return. Don't return. That's your prerogative, brother. But, we here on, whatever we'll call, we're on the Osho movement now. We don't take kindly to people with extremely short, compulsive attention spans. No offense. Like, you're probably a phenomenal human being, and I agree. Math rock is lit. But if you can't hold space for a person even just having a conversation, in the midst of your own attention span, then you're probably not my target audience. Probably don't belong on this channel, brother. You need to, go get your fix somewhere else. Anyways, the move, as we're speaking about chaotic disorder or chaotic order, or whatever we were talking about. Let us find a way. Let us find our way here. And let us actually plug in here. Make a little bit more reverb here for this. Nice. What's good, Ziggy? What's good, brother? Let's see. So I'd be more like playing some piece directly. Like romance, more directly. Like listening, figuring out by ear. Yeah. Yeah, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever thought of getting into Spanish scales in 3D? So that's the thing is, Astas, he actually considers, there's an interview that explained that Astas actually considers what he plays he calls it gypsy style. So it's flamenco. Yes, Astas is a brilliant, like, fingerstyle flamenco artist with Spanish influence. Similar to me, I take influence from Astas, but the idea is, what Astas does is he actually plays extremely intuitively. Astas Tan, he's not trying to, at least that's how he explains he plays. He basically will, like, he'll create a song where he's just like, where he's using shapes, he's using theory, he's using, like, flamenco stuff, but he's often improvising on top of his improvisations. Like, he's using everything, at least this is what I've gathered. I don't know exactly how Astas does his thing. That's all in Astas's mind, but it seems what he's doing is he's improvising on top of improvisations. He's using reference points. So he'll be like, like that's like a part of his song, but then he'll go like into a part where he's doing like a little section off on top of it, and then he returns and goes to another chord and completes it. He's like always improvising, which is obviously just what guitar players do in general. But I think he's like, that's what he's trying to coin as gypsy style, is he's not trying to repeat the same compositions purposely. He's purposely trying to make it like a channel. And that's actually part of what I like about Astas, is he's one of the few musicians that has really inspired me to be like, you know what? Music shouldn't necessarily be about composing music. It should actually be about a channel. Like, whatever you feel into it. You know what? Let's flip this on here. Like, it's all about feeling over what your mind is trying to say. Okay, but what is compositionally sound? It's like, but what feels good? Like, what is it like smacking, or like, does that feel good? It's like Astas, I feel like he's one of those musicians. You can see it in the way his expressions is like piecing together his ideas. He's not trying to focus necessarily on just like, okay, is it chord into chord into chord? He's trying to really focus on like, okay, but does this feel like is like, I'm botching that, but that's like a very Astas type thing. It's like he's using cadence, he's using timbre, and he's using all these little elements of guitar
that is less to do with like your generic compositional ideas of like, okay, chord into chord into chord into interlude. He's trying to like make you feel something. And I think that's brilliant because that is a really good way to go about it. I mean, you hear that in bursts and blips. Really good classic and acoustic or flamenco guitar players, they do that exact thing. Like, you know, they're mastering their melodies and or their technique, but then they're also very feel based. But I think people like Astas, you see this a lot in sound healers. You know, the range of sound healers that exist, they do the same thing where they're not trying to be like musically sound. We're like, okay, you'd expect that musically we'll go into this next section, we'll orchestrate this section. It's like you'd hear in an orchestration. They're purposely trying to like split open the grid or being like, okay, well, let's whap a drum here, or let's do a didgeridoo, or let's, you know, do some vocals into a guitar sequence. It's like, it's really like an ancient way of piecing together musical ideas that's not trying to refer or be a reference to like, you know, other guitar players or other sort of genres. It's like you're trying to almost like look at an ancient style of creating music where you're not focusing on like simple melodic ideas. Anyways, I'm just riffing about that, but I like the conversations times as the music times. Yeah, it's all, I mean, I like to simply point it out. It's like it's the same. Like it's all one. If you understand music, you understand that music is obviously just an expression of how the person is. Like, you know, what I'm speaking, like the context of the words and the way my perspective has been shaped as I'm speaking words in it. Ah, there's an oil of oregano. It's very crazy. Very spicy. The idea is that the words that are being spoken, they all have deep significance, if not a rich, rich significance to what I'm playing. Because even the way I play, right, it's often influenced from the words that are being spoken, the words I'm responding to. And like if I were to say nothing, which sometimes I choose to do, you know, sometimes I'm like having a difficult day and I don't want to engage a whole lot, or if I'm like maybe having a great day and I'm really tired or something, I'll speak very little and hold space for the internal monologue. Because, you know, that's what's occurring. It's like if I'm just here, right? Just like, okay, no words. Whatever is going through, it's like a focus that's an internal focus. You know, maybe it's what's going on through my mind, what I'm feeling in my body. But when I'm engaging in dialogue, like I'm externalizing the words I'm feeling, I'm letting it communicate to you, the perceiver, and then you also are communicating and perceiving that. That actually is like transmitting a whole different energy. That's creating, it's co creating an experience energetically. That's happening all the time, whether we're conscious of it or not. So it's like for people to demerit that and be like, no, 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 no. You gotta speak when we want, or don't speak words. Just play your guitar. Blah 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 blah. It's like they're missing the point. Like they're so far removed from the creative process that they're pretty much revealing that they don't desire to be a part of this channel, because it's not to like invalidate their desire to listen to music, but do they not realize that this is a co-creation? It's a co-creation with myself, a co-creation with you, co-creation with the stream experience as a whole, as well as me non-verbally communicating with myself. Like it's a very strange thing to me when people try to like communicate like, no, 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 like just play the guitar, don't speak. It's like you clearly aren't a musician. You clearly aren't even like an artist if you really don't understand that core part of it. But hey, c'est la vie. Not everyone can be musicians. But yeah, there's some guitar lessons videos on Osho. Might help you out. Oh, word. What song is the last song you learned? Oh, word. So I can't figure out how does the guitar tone sound so registered not shrill. Is it the pickups? Some of the playing style. It's, yeah, moi kick to MOI for QT or 4Y, whatever it's going is yeah, it's a mixture of all. It's a mixture of everything that's going on. So, yes, there's a tone ramp here. The tone ramp's a preamp, stretches of the natural resonance pattern. That is helping, the song, the sound is mastered. I'm mastering it constantly. Like, I'm dialing in little parts, like, I'm like that sounds good. But yes, the majority of what you're hearing is not just about the tone and amp. Like, if I was unplugged, like not plugged in right now, it's more so about my playing style, which is developed from the nuances of the tone amp. Like, that's the weird part. It's like I play the way I play because I'm responding to the sensitivity of resonance that the tone amp offers. Like, you hear, it's like, okay, that occurred. I'm using very unique amounts of tension, which is technically correct. Like, the guitar, if it's on or off, doesn't even matter. If I'm using the correct amount of tension, the timbre or whatever, and I'm using the right, it is technique, but also, I'll be honest, the third part of this. So it's having the preamp, having an awareness of how to create with the preamp, like have correct tension and technique, but also it has a lot to do with the tension of the strings themselves to MOI. It's like if you basically have the correct intonation and action, that is your guitar, your strings are at the right gauge, they're tuned correctly, the action and the intonation is proper, and this is very important, then this gives you a consistent reference point to how to apply the best tension that you want for whatever you're doing. So then eventually you can apply the right tension, with technique, and then eventually you can listen into the nuances of the tonal amp, and then it all comes together, and what you're hearing is surely it's all of it coming together. So then it seems seamless. Yeah. Yeah. If that makes sense. I don't know. I appreciate you asking about that. You have something that belongs to Willy Wonka. I don't know, bro. I think Willy Wonka's got great style, but this is not the hat. Look closer. Willy Wonka is rocking a different hat. Yeah. I don't know, bro. I purchased this hat a couple weeks ago because I love it. I designed every part of this, but I had thousands and thousands of subscribers that were chimed in way before I had the hat. I think people are actually just watching for all of it, for the hat, the guitar technique, the words behind the technique, the intention of the channel. That's kind of part of the fun. That's why I'm a YouTuber, truthfully, and why it's succeeding the way it is. It's because there's many different intentions and reasons on why this is all working and flowing. Like, why, I don't know, people are drawn to it for whatever reason. It's the same reason when you create a musical performance. Like, when you do a performance musically, people, maybe they're responding to your energy, your expression. Maybe it's the technical choices. Maybe it's the boldness of your journey, like whatever it is. There's a million reasons people can resonate with things. I don't even know half the time. Like, I have zero idea. It doesn't even actually matter, truthfully. All I have to know is that it resonates with me. And then if it resonates with another person, that's sick. Yeah. You should start a band and make area rock ballads. You got a taste for that. Interesting. I mean, I don't know. It's a sacred quest to make a band and have a band go on that journey. I'm open. I've actually had a few ideas for very distinct band projects, which I think once I achieve certain dimensions of success in YouTube, I'm going to definitely bring to life other projects. But at this point, I have zero intention do much beyond being a solo artist. Like in this very specific, realm where I'm growing a YouTube channel and teaching guitar and writing original music, I'm just gonna keep on doing what I love to do. And I don't think, for most of my life, I've always been like, whoa, it would be dope to have a band and, this, that, the other. And I jam with musicians often, and I've jammed with many very talented musicians where I'm like, sometimes we'll have the idea to form a band, but musical chemistry is very sacred. Like, it's not even about the other person. Let's be real here. It's like, musical chemistry is similar to chemistry as a whole. It's not even about surely there's some elements like, oh wow, these people, they resonate with me, they inspire me, but it's also more about what your intentions are as a musician, as a person, and yeah, what you desire to do musically. It's like, it's a weird, I think, it's an illusion that can serve a limiting belief in both regards for people to believe that they need to have other musicians to succeed. And obviously, it's an illusion to believe that you don't need other musicians also to succeed. You can succeed in both rights, and you should desire to integrate both when it is, aligned with your journey. That's it. Whoa. Anyways, lots of beautiful unsolicited advice. Or maybe I think it is solicited because you guys are here, but it's just words. My words. And yeah, lots of them. Man, I just gotta say, I love oil of oregano. I don't know, it's like such a weird but like beautiful experience for the body. Like this stuff I just kind of like blop down. It's like, if for some reason it has like such an interesting sensory experience, it's obviously just healthy for the body and for the brain. What is my guitar signal chain? Signal chain. I'll be honest, I'm not even familiar with what that means. Signal. Unless it's like a term to explain something I do sort of understand. Signal chain is a sequence of processes where the signal passes, each stage conditioning, amplifying, converting to an achieved desired outputs. Ah, yeah. Word. Now, the signal chain then, if that's the definition, basically we're preamp. We got our tone wood amp here. So that's a pretty infamous product, tone wood amp. Pretty well known. And then I'm streaming that, chord into a Scarlett Focus audio interface. So Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. And then that is fed into Ableton, where I'm not doing anything beyond that. So it's like the interface is immediately just, doing its interface thing. So it's really what you're hearing is the tone wood amp. And that's the thing, is this is where it becomes a little bit of a mindfuck, is the tone wood amp has many, many different settings. The settings are responding to, the settings that I'm giving it on my guitar. So basically what you're hearing is years and years of me figuring out the best setting that is what my guitar does. So basically I have low, mid, high. So I'm adjusting the lows, the mids, and the highs, and the AMF, which is always just middle. And then I'm also calibrating the tone wood amp sound. So I have many different settings here. I'm on plate mode, which is number 3. And I can adjust decay, predly, high cut, blend, gain, and DI level, which is basically, DI is like blending everything relating to my external hookup. And then basically all of that then responds to the interface. So the interface is where I'm mastering everything finally. So basically I'm turning a knob. In the simplest right, I'm turning knobs up and down. Like that's all that's happening. I'm turning knobs up and down. Like here I have, I can just adjust the actual volume setting I can adjust the line setting here, and then I can also adjust my speaker setting, and then I'm adjusting, yeah, my knob here. So what you're hearing, a lot of it is basically the fine-tuned product of me finding the perfect balance, at least for what I'm playing right now. From my tonal amp in relation to the guitar, in relation to my audio interface, in relation to my speakers. Like, it's like I've just played around with all those knobs, and this is the sound. And I can probably still do that even more. I found a good balance. But if I'm, say, studio recording, I gotta do that even more so. Like, I'm like, okay, let's hit play. Or let's hit record, I mean. And that is, and this is probably a really good setting, because I spent a lot of yesterday recording stuff. So I was, like, studio recording ready. But yeah. Like, that sounds really good. It's, like, very balanced. The lows are balanced. It's, like, very good. And it's not even that complex. For me, what I'm usually looking for is, I'm looking for a sound that basically is on the cusp of not clipping out, but also allows me to do slap harmonics. Basically, the core focus of how my sound setup is to make sure I can do slap harmonics effectively. Like, I can make a beautiful atmospheric sound that sounds like really silky and ethereal, but I can also do harmonics. And they're not going to clip out. Like, they're going to sound, I can smack them. Yeah, that sounds really good. But yeah, that's, I guess, my signal chain, if you will. I've never heard of that term, to be honest, but yeah. An Aussie accent. Definitely not Australian accent, no. I'm sounding a bit nasally right now, but beyond that, yeah. An artist your hat is a part of your arts. Yeah, brother. It is so. I designed this baby. Like, this hat is like, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist before I made it. Literally, like, this, the size of this with the color palette and the distressed. I just never seen, you maybe see something similar, but it took me a while of going on Etsy, looking at all the different hat makers and reaching out to the one hat maker, and she was super down to just create this hat. Because she basically wanted to design a hat that really what I wanted, but she was also figuring out what a hat person would want. So, yeah, this hat didn't exist before I made it. You're gonna hire me as a graphic team. Oh, you're gonna hire me when we start one. I'll design your band posters. Nice. I mean, hey, that's a beautiful offer. I don't know, whenever that happens, that'll happen. But yeah, no, we'll talk. I don't know. I've been very transparent. Not to say that negates the transparency or the connection that we could establish professionally, but I do business in a very sacred way, so to speak. That is, I take time to develop business relationships. I do not jump into business endeavors like very quickly at all, like very intentionally. Like, if I'm gonna, collaborate or entertain someone professionally, like in any context, I'm gonna take time to understand this person, understand who they are. And it's very difficult. It's on YouTube. I've only been a YouTuber for like 8.5 months. I'm still new to navigating those waters where I meet lots of awesome people. Some are like really well founded and they're brilliant people, I can sense. But I have to be really like intuitive and integral with my process of wanting to develop a business relationship with this person, or professional relationship. I don't want to be like, all right, let's jump the gun, like, just because they say there are this, that, or the other, I'm gonna be like, all right, let's do it. It's like, I want to like honor my own ability to decipher if this person really aligns with my mission and my journey professionally. No, I gotta figure that shit on my own, I guess. Yeah, I know, the sound is great. Yeah, thank you for asking. Thank you for asking about the signal chain. I like that. Thank you, I love this hat too. It rocks. Ooh. I think we have to soon probably put a close to the stream. Probably the 2 hour mark. Because I want to head down, get some LSD, and go down to the beach. and do beach stuff. Honestly, it's like, as much as I could enjoy, I think today, just spending these like 3-4 hours rocking a stream, it's beautiful to think that I could do this exact beautiful stream and connect and do this stuff, but on a beautiful, massive beach in this beautiful weather. That's definitely the move. That's definitely the move for the soul. Plus, I need to get some LSD. I've been wanting to pick up a vial of LSD for a while. I have a fight tomorrow. Oh, how's he this? And I'm that. Oh, wow. He's 6'5". Huh. I mean, no tips. No tips, Manjot. If you've signed up for the fight, you've already accepted the consequences of your choice. You can win, you can lose. If you're fighting someone that's much larger, the only advice I could give you is the advice anyone would give you that's a martial artist. Lean into your strengths, lean into their weaknesses. You know, if you're a much smaller guy, utilize double leg takedowns. Like if I was gonna go against a larger guy, ultimately it doesn't matter what size two martial artists are. Whoever is more technically proficient will win. It doesn't matter. Like he could have 100 pounds on you, which seems he does or something, and if you are technically more proficient, you will have the edge. But again, if he then plays into his strength of being heavier and he has just enough technical proficiency to overcome your technical proficiency, then he's gonna win. Like it's that simple. This is martial arts is like can be understood very simply. Are you technically proficient? If you are, you got this, brother. Either way, you're gonna win. You're gonna win. It's a win-win. You'll learn, and you win even if you lose. But the fact of the matter is, if you are technically proficient, utilize your strengths. You know, rock some double legs. He's got a much harder time defending his legs. If you're doing mixed martial arts, use your strengths. You know, do upper or overcuts. And I don't know. Again, I'm not an extremely well versed fighter right now, but you know I trained for many years, but I'm not the guy. But definitely just be confident and go at it utilizing your strengths. You have strengths if you've been training for X amount of time. Use your strengths, trust in your technical proficiency. That's all I could say. That's a weird fight though. I don't know why you'd accept a fight with a guy who has 100 pounds on you. Like that actually doesn't seem real. I'm not sure if you're serious about that. Because yeah, the only exception if a guy who's 100 pounds higher than you would be accepted in an actual fight is if you're in like what's the word? An open bracket competition. Like you're in an open bracket competition where there's like a specific class where it's not like you're actually doing a fight, where it's an open bracket where two people of different age groups and different weights could fight, then absolutely. But beyond that, that doesn't sound like a real roster. Yeah. Thank you, Rock Fan. We're on the path, brother. We're on the path. Fair enough. Fair enough, Moon. Rest up. Rest up. I'll definitely know that. What's going on, Warrior? Welcome. Welcome, Victorious. Victorious. I'm good. I'm good. Welcome. Welcome, Victoria. Nice. Repeating stuff. It's the way of the world. Repetition. No, we're great though. We made the executive decision to start the first hour and a half of the stream, literally just running around doing handstand push-ups. Like, it's great. It's great. It felt really good. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do this more. I mean, it's summer officially pretty much, or nearing summer. So it's nice and warm weather. So I can just hang out in the field outside and stream in a different context. But yeah. Cool. Art of fighting is not use what you know, the art is restraint. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Restraint. Yeah. I think again, yeah, leaning into one's strengths, utilizing one's weaknesses, like the enemies or opponent's weaknesses, that is using intelligent self-awareness that practices restraint. But if we're talking about mixed martial arts, I'm not sure what the homie was speaking of. Have a fight tomorrow. So he just said fight. He wasn't even talking about, I don't know if it was boxing, I don't know if it's mixed martial arts. But if it's mixed martial arts, it's going to take a lot more. It's going to take everything. It's going to take restraint. It's going to take again, like a technical proficiency. This is the simplest thing in a fight. Whoever has more technical proficiency will win. Like, that's it. And we're talking about, like, obviously two trained fighters against each other. It's like you're technically more proficient, you're gonna win. And if you lose, it's because you're less technically proficient. It's what it is. But the guy says he has 100 pounds less. So that means he has a disadvantage where he could even be technically more proficient. So he's betting on that he has more technical proficiency over a guy that's also larger who maybe has less. And that's what he's betting on. And who knows? Like, it's like you're rolling dice. Like, it's like fights can go either way. But if you're a trained, if you're training and you're like, all right, I trust, I'm training hard, you're really putting in the energy and the hours and you're technically training your skills, that's all you can really do. Yeah. He's fighting his demons. Yeah. Sure. By lightning, good evening. What's good, Tibetan? Welcome, brother. Yeah, it's 3:13 right now. 3:13. I think in the next like 5 minutes we're probably gonna put a close to the stream because we're gonna head downtown, get some LSD, and get what days? Yeah, it's definitely open. And then go down to the beach and maybe do a live stream at the beach because that feels like being inside of a room in a studio. This does not feel like the move. It's too beautiful of a day outside. I want to just be streaming outside. But I appreciate the support and my path to monetization. We're actually very, very close. That's the thing is, I'm actually at 2,991 watch hours. So that means I'm 9 watch hours from 3,000. So I'm 9 watch hours. And technically, it only updates every 5 days. So that means I've already achieved way past 3,000. Probably at closer to 2,200 watch hours. But the idea is that, yeah, tomorrow, 12 o'clock today at midnight, I'll unlock Super Chat. I'll have Super Chat unlocked. Or I think I have to apply for it or something stupid, but yeah. That's dope. We've already unlocked Super Chat monetization, and then probably in about 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half, we will have ad revenue unlocked. So that's great. That's honestly, I already feel like I've already won. LSD's the bomb. That it is. LSD is pretty dope, I gotta say. I used to love fighting until I woke up covered in blood. My girlfriend told me I beat some guy up. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. That's extreme. That would do it. That would do it, Tibetan. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's the thing is, like, I love fighting, but from a technical perspective. Like, that's the weird thing is I've rarely engaged in combat. I've been in fights. But the idea is that the core thing, this is the weird parallel, and I speak of this a lot. People ask me about, like, they'll say this or that or the other thing, or they'll express something related to fighting, or say maybe some unhinged, triggered stuff, but like, oh, do you know how to fight, or blah, 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 or do you know this, and then I'll just kind of like, you realize that once you train martial arts for more than like 2-3 years, like when you've done it for like 10 plus years, it's not even about fighting anymore. Like, if it's almost like there's so much that can be put in perspective and resolved immediately from just becoming a trained fighter immediately. Like, if you're like, I want to, I have problems with XYZ relating to combat scenarios. If you're like a really well-trained fighter, a lot of those issues or problems or, extreme scenarios, they're just going to disappear more or less. Unless you're in some extreme scenario, they're going to just vanish into thin air. Like, if you know how to fight, like you've devoted yourself for like 5, 6, 7 plus years, and you're like a trained fighter, like, I know how to deal with combat, it's going to create a very wild paradox where, for one, you're probably not going to be put into many fights. Like, if you are, you're going to deal with it in a very like self-aware way. But what I'm simply saying is, unfortunately, like, to be very blatant, the product of being in scenarios where you're experiencing like dysregulated violence usually has to do with the fact that you do not, or you haven't gone the process of actually training as a martial artist. Because trained martial artists, like, you just have a different perspective on fighting scenarios. You basically don't have any like bloodlust, so to speak. You don't have the desire to actually engage. And if you do, you're able to deal with the scenario very quickly and very effectively. It's just like, I don't know. But say la vie, we can't all devote several years of our life to martial arts. Like, you just can't. That's not normal for most people. It's very expensive. It's a very intense, timely endeavor. But I'm just saying, if you ever do that, like, you know what? I'm gonna train Taekwondo for a bunch of years, then Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai for a bunch of years. It changes your entire perspective. Like, your whole perspective of fighting, your whole relation with your body changes in a very magical way. And a part of that is you basically don't experience violence the same way most people do. In a very beautiful way. I don't know. Long story short, a lot of life's problems can be solved, strangely enough, from becoming a devoted martial artist. Like, I'm not even like, I haven't trained in years, but I've trained for so many years of my life, and I'm going to train again, surely. Like, part of what I want to do as a YouTuber is succeed, travel the world, you know, stack money, and then get to a point where I'm just gonna be training all the time, like training parkour, training circus arts, training martial arts, because I can afford to do it. Like, the core reason why I'm not training martial arts right now is because I cannot afford it. I want to train various different disciplines. Like, right now, I'd love to do it, but it's a bit of a timely endeavor. Like, I want to invest myself into establishing myself as a YouTuber, but there's going to be a chapter when the door is going to open, when I'm like, oh, word, I have a little more time on my hands. I'm feeling extremely attracted to training jiu-jitsu again and Muay Thai again, or maybe, you know, training some capoeira and some Tai Chi, maybe in Shaolin Kung Fu. It's like, all that stuff is magic. And once you devote like even a slim period, like 5-6 years of your life to that stuff, it literally will change your life, like, invariably. But again, that's a lot. That's a lot to devote, truthfully. What is the difference between LSD and shrooms? Any fools fight when there's nothing to gain and lose. It's a deeply woven parallel. I've talked about that, you know, here and there on my channel, but violence is a weird paradox. Like, if we're to be very forthcoming, violence is a very weird paradox. It works in a paradoxical way. Those that do not know how to engage will engage. Those that know how to engage will not engage. Obviously, that's not the whole context. That's like the rule of thumb. But it's like, you know, if you're a trained fighter, you're not going to seek out violence. Your mind is programmed differently. If you're not a trained fighter and you're triggered by fighting, you're going to be programmed differently. It's just the weird way that violence perpetuates itself. I don't know. But I'm just speaking openly. I'm like philosophically breaking down some stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. What's the difference between LSD and shrooms? Only fools with that. Yeah. Martial arts. JQ. Yeah. Kendo. I love it. But how easy you can be killed or killed in a fight. Interesting. Kendo. Shokan. Boxing. I love it. Interesting. 30 years. Okay. Interesting. Well, I believe you. I believe in your perspective. I believe you know what I'm talking about to various degrees. Like 1000%, probably more than I do, truthfully. Like, I'm 31, I've been training martial arts, you know, Taekwondo for about 8.5 years, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai for 6.5 years. And then I transitioned into parkour and advanced calisthenics, you know, as the last couple of years. And it's been great. I love it. But in all true dimension is, like, if you're in a fight, if you're training with a person, or you're actually in a combat scenario and you're putting your like life in danger, you're like engaging, and you don't know how to match a person's percentage of what they're putting out, that has nothing to do with the martial art or fighting as a whole. Like, to be super transparent, not to invalidate your perspective, you seem like an intelligent, really interesting individual, and like your perspective makes a lot of sense, and you're probably right in many rights. But I think it's like, yeah, it's like if I were to like look at all the little slim scenarios where someone who's like a fighter or a person that's like, and I haven't been in like actual and a violent altercation in like 7, 8 years, like since I was like a teenager, really, where I was like, or like late beyond teens, so like young adulthood, where it's like there's an altercation that's clearly at hand. The ability to diffuse and match your opponent, or maybe the, whatever we'll call them, opponent, um, the aggressor maybe, like to match their energy is way beyond like the act of fighting. It's like you can basically diffuse, engage, and match the energy, and diffuse and engage, and subdue a fight effectively. Way It's way more on you than it is on the entirety of like what the martial forms is. You're right though. Like people are putting their life in danger in many rights when they engage in with such a place. But this is also why I like jiu-jitsu. Like this is also why I really like jiu-jitsu. Don't you worry about your fingers getting hurt. I don't like my fingers getting hurt. I value my fingers a lot. I also train no-gi jiu-jitsu. I train no-gi jiu-jitsu a lot. So it's like no-gi jiu-jitsu is not trying to just do like, finger traps and finger grip holds and grip things. That's gi jiu-jitsu. No-gi jiu-jitsu is more about your entire body, dynamic transitions. But I think what I'm simply saying is perhaps, like you said JKD, kendo, shokan, boxing. I don't know. I love all those different types of forms. But if you ever train like jiu-jitsu, like classic MMA style jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai is obviously like boxing, kickboxing. That's a jiu-jitsu in my experience. Again, I'm a limited. I was only a blue belt. I trained, yeah, for like a mixture of 6.5 years. Did 3 years of gi, 3.5 years of no gi. And the truth of the matter is, jiu-jitsu is it's a system of martial arts that's designed to subdue and submit your opponent. Like you're not, if it's like when you think about it, like if you're like, okay, I'm in a fight, you could fight where you're like, okay, strike, strike, strike. Maybe it comes to the ground and then more strike, strike, armbar or something. I don't know what a person would do if they didn't have a background. But the idea is before you get to that point, there's so many options that don't involve threatening someone's life if you know jiu-jitsu and judo that are way more accessible than simply trying to, engage in an aggressive stance. It's like you could be like push kick into double leg takedown, into guillotine choke, into Kimura transition into triangle, or take their back. Like you push them, you take their back, rear naked choke, fight's over. Like they're unconscious. It's like that's at least what I would do. That's what I've done actually. It's like some people could be like, okay, it's strike, strike, strike. But it's like if you go for like subduing, you're not trying to actually hurt the person. And again, I'm not an expert on this shit, but it's like in my experience, like once you train jiu-jitsu and judo, you learn that there's more than one way to end a fight, and more than not, both parties want to end the fight in a subdued way. They don't want to end it unless you're dealing with, again, this is all the weird paradox. If you're dealing with violent aggressors, like people that seek violence, that's a person you do not want to fight, like invariably. Like if a person is trying to trigger violence and they're like, they're insane, you do not even want to engage in that person at all. Like that's the first rule of thumb within a lot of martial arts. Like people speak about this a lot. I've kind of had that joke with other friends or competitive fighters. It's like the best way to win a fight is often cases like if you're in a fight where there's a violent scenario and there's like multiple people or weapons, you just got to not fight. Like there's no winning a fight if it's not a true fight. And yeah, if a person is like, psychopathic or violent in nature, that's not a fight you want to have. Like the best way to deal with that scenario is to diffuse it, is to reach empathy, is to have a regulated nervous system that is able to see through their dysregulated illusions in their own triggered nature. And I'm telling you, a mass majority of the time, you can diffuse fights without them happening if you have that self-awareness. But anyways, again, I'm not an expert on these things. This is me just kind of offering my 2 cents. And I do have experience with a lot of these things, but again, I'm not an expert. There are many people that may disagree, but like there's a lot more to it than that. But I think when I look at the vast array of years of how I've understood these things, it's interesting. It intrigues me. Because, we're all humans, human to human. Most people do not want to hurt, they don't want to harm each other. And if a person does want to harm a person, that's a whole nother scenario that should be treated with a lot more grace and self-awareness. Yeah. But anyways, long story short, TDLR, Jiu-Jitsu rocks. Jiu-Jitsu makes you want to submit and subdue. It helps you protect and makes you, think a little bit more on your toes in a way that's a little unorthodox that may serve you. I don't know. Food for thought. It's true, the arts changed your outlook. I used to fight in my 20s. My ego was the problem. Yeah. Until I suffered shamanic embodiment. Wow. That's really cool, man. Again, you seem cool. You seem like an interesting fellow, Tibetan. Tibetan Visions. And of course, your channel name is just great. Tibetan Shamanic Farm. Beautiful. Yeah, what a cool moniker. Anyways, don't let that self-destructive loser look for a fight and take you down. Yeah, that's that's one way to look at it. Like, it's like people do want people to, it's a weird parallel. Like, we won't go too deep down that rabbit hole, but yeah, men of violence, so to speak, respond to that. It's like a defense traumatized mechanism. Men of intelligence can see through that. Like, they'll be like, wow, like, isn't this what's going on here actually? Like, what is really the underlying context? Sure, there's maybe scenarios that transcend that where it's like you can't just be a man of intelligence, but most times if you're a man of society, you're a trained martial artist, you're around, society and civilized people. Look at that top tier stutter, but yeah, you're around society and civilized people, right? There's a mass majority of people are not seeking some sort of violent altercation. They're just not. And if they for some reason are, that means this is a moment to practice even stronger self-awareness and intelligence. Like, being like, like, is this a moment to, give into our primal instincts or give our lives away or throw our lives away? Like, even that, like, this is what I've noticed is, without going, again, too deep down this rabbit hole, there's been instances where I'll have, like, very rare, again, I'm fortunate. I live in a great neighborhood. I'm a pretty safe dude, lived a pretty blessed life, but I've had, like, a handful of times where I'll be, like, run across random people who are triggered out of nowhere, and they'll be, like, say something, like, insane. And it's like, you really think about it, some people, they literally just need a person to talk them back down to reality. Like, be like, oh, so are you, like, have you thought this through, brother? Like, friend, like, so you want to assault somebody? Or, like, oh, you want to, like, you think violence is, you want to violently altercate in this scenario. Like, is that what you think is the appropriate action? Or it's like, do you really think that you should assault somebody based on that? Like, it's like a weird narrative that I think a lot of people, when they're triggered, they just need someone who's not triggered to just have a conversation. Like, hey, brother, let's think this through. Like, why are you feeling this way, or blah, blah, blah. And again, I'm very limited perspective. Am I a Chuck Norris fan? Absolutely. I love Chuck Norris. I only know him from, like, his, can you just show us the Chocolate Factory? Right this way. I thought you'd never ask. I don't know how the fuck Willy Wonka is. How does Willy Wonka speak? I thought you never asked. I don't know. Willy Wonka's got a weird accent, but yeah, I thought you never ask. Let's go, friends. I'll take you to the Chocolate Factory. funniest thing, though, this is random as fuck, but kind of relevant to what I was kind of speaking to. You diffuse, and 2 minutes later. Nah, 2 minutes later. Wow. Wow. Nice. I don't know how that's. I don't know how that's became the woven narrative, Ringo, but hats off. Hats off. Nice. For a price. Wow. Wow. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I thought you already subscribed, but thank you, brother. Thank you for being here. I'm happy to have you here in this community, truthfully, brother. But funniest thing, like kind of just closing off. After this, I think we'll make the executive decision to make some food, make some squashes, and then go down to the beach. And then we'll do a live stream at the beach. Yeah. Pick up our vial of LSD and go to the beach. Yeah. No, I'm pretty stoked. I'm stoked, though. It'll be great. But the idea is, what I wanted to say is, the weirdest thing happened. I remember I was coming home from a rave, had a great time, and there was some, like, drunk dude that seemed to be, like, unruly. Like, he was kind of like, I don't know if he was just really, really drunk, but he seemed to be, like, almost, like, trying to, like, engage in people. Like, he was trying to, like, ruffle some feathers, let's say, for comedic effect. He was, like, trying to ruffle some feathers, like, going up to random people and being like, what's going on? Or, like, what are you saying? Or what are you doing? Like, just doing some random unhinged shit. And I remember just sitting there and being like, okay. And then I, like, took out my pan flute, because I was getting home from a rave, full of love, full of life. And I'm sitting there playing this pan flute. And it's so funny. The guy, he, like, comes up to me, and he sits down, like, kind of like a SkyTrain chair next to me. And he just, like, looks at me, and he's just like, hey, how's it going, man? What are you doing? And I remember just sitting there, just, like, ignoring him, just shrugging. And I just started playing the pan flute. It was like a very soothing sound. And it was so funny. Immediately, the dude, he kind of just like closed his eyes and he just starts like just grooving. And then he's just like, immediately his tone changes and he's like, I like that. He's like, that sounds really nice. And I was just like, nod, just don't say anything, kept playing. And he's sitting there and I could see his like energy from being like this like disorderly kind of ruffle feathery drunk guy. Just immediately he was just like mellowed out. And then I remember it just like looked at him. He was just like looks at me. He's like kind of like his confused way, and he's like I like that. He's like, just keep playing. That's really beautiful. And I'm like kind of laughing. I'm like, okay, man. I'm gonna do that anyways. And then I keep playing the pan flute, and it's so funny. Like, it's just a weird little connection where I just realized that this fellow that was kind of feeling like a bit confused, maybe he was just trying to be disorderly. The second I played the pan flute, it's like he immediately was just like, and he was also a native guy, so maybe he just connected with the native sound, and he was just like enamored with the sound of the flute. It was so funny. It was just like immediately he went from like almost trying to be like disorderly, engage in a disorderly way, to being like really chill, being like, that's so beautiful, and being like so happy to be there. So I was like interesting, and it kind of give me that perspective. I was like, I wonder how often playing a pan flute can literally just like just diffuse, like in the most immediate sense. Like someone's like, let's be aggressive or something, or altercative or whatever, and you just play a pan flute, because I have this on me always, and it kind of just diffuses that. They're just like, wow. I mean, this guy was drunk as fuck, so who knows, but I found it so funny. He was Zephyr. He was definitely not Zephyr. He was definitely not Zephyr. Yeah. Magic. Alright, well, I think this is a high time, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to put a close to the stream. Yeah. We're going to basically make some Zephyr from Romania. Is Zephyr from Romania? Really? I'm going to look up into that. That would not surprise me. I thought Zephyr was like Peruvian or something, but Zamfir. That wouldn't surprise me though, because obviously Romanian pan flute is this. Zamfir. Is he Romanian? So he's a Romanian pan flute musician. Wow. That is so beautiful. I had no idea that Zamfir was Romanian. Okay, now looking at him, of course he's Romanian. Look at this guy. Classic. Wow, we got Romanian culture, man. So beautiful. Look there. Look at this. Look at this guy. He's just chilling. Yeah. Me too, dog. Magic. Just magic. It's everywhere, brothers and sisters. It is everywhere. Magic with a K. Yes. Yeah, I think we're gonna put a close to the stream, and we'll return in a few hours. Like it takes me about 2 hours to get down to this beach. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love magic. I think Escape in the late 70s for Brazil, but not sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, Zamfir rules, though. I remember vividly as a young kid listening to Channel 3 and Zamfir's song, whatever it's called. Something trippy. Some kind of nature thing. But anyways, well, thank you so much for chiming in. Deeply appreciate you guys supporting this channel. And we are, as of tomorrow, going to unlock super chats. And we're right on track to getting monetization via ad revenue in about a week. So pretty excited for that. That'll be dope as fuck. Cash in YouTube paychecks. Big win. Even if it's not much. It's a step forward. But anyways, thank you so much for chiming in. If this content resonates with you, feel free to subscribe to this channel. We teach guitar. We do meditative sound journeys among various types of YouTube stuff. Yeah, he was. It was a generation or a few decades or many decades back. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for the support. Remember to honor yourself and honor each other. We'll see you guys soon. Much love. Bless. I share.